Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. As we predicted, Martin Bakole walks down, beats up, and quite frankly exposes Jared Anderson. Going into this fight in my prediction video, I picked Bakole, and one of my main takeaways when I made the prediction video was that I was shocked they made the fight. Because of how dangerous I felt Bakole was. And not only was he dangerous, but he was, well, he was unknown to casual fans. You know, fans who tune in a few times a year looking for the next heavyweight prospect in America. You know, that's being sold, or was being sold, as Jared Anderson. So when they put this guy in there with a guy like Bakole, a guy who doesn't have much of a name but is very dangerous, I was very surprised, to be honest. And it's come tumbling down. They need to rebuild with Jared Anderson now. Tactically, I felt he was very naive in this fight, to be honest. I don't think he made the most of his natural attributes, which was his foot speed especially. Bakole has underrated hand speed, and I think Anderson found that out. But Anderson certainly had the quicker feet, and he never once made the use of them in this bout. He was standing there against a much bigger guy, trying to trade and trying to get the bigger guy's respect, but it never really worked. Very naive tactics, in my opinion, from Jared Anderson. Bakole started this fight pretty circumspect. He was allowing Anderson to kind of get a feel into the fight. Anderson was leading off with a jab, firing the straights to the body. They wasn't really affecting Bakole. Bakole was like taking a look at what was in front of him, and it was like he was trying to time Anderson coming in with a looping overhand right. When Anderson would dip down and go to the body with a straight shot, you could see Bakole looking for the overhand over the top to time him coming in, and he got close with that shot a couple of times. But first round, I felt Anderson did okay early on, picking his shots, not getting too reckless, kind of thing. But round one, end of round one, first punch of anger that Martin Bakole landed, an overhand right as Anderson overexerted himself. It drops Anderson, shaky legs, but you know it was at the end of a round, and Anderson gets through it. The next sort of three rounds 2, 3, and 4, were very exciting rounds. Very good exchanges by both men. Bakole started to up the pace. He started to get his jab into play. Really trying to walk down Anderson. Anderson tried to use a bit of movement initially. Then he started to hold his feet and trade with Bakole. And it was interesting because you could see Anderson have success with his combinations. He was landing shots, but they never really seemed to have an effect on Bakole. And they looked more flashy. They looked more quick. They looked more, pleasing, not pleasing on the eye, but they looked quicker and looked sharper, but they were having no effect on Bakole. Whereas Bakole was kind of loosely throwing these combinations, very fluidly throwing these combinations with not the most speed in the world. But every time he caught Anderson with a headshot, you could see Anderson's head rock and twist. Every single shot Bakole landed to the head, you could see the effect it was having on Anderson. Really rocking the head back, twisting the head. You could see the impact. And both guys were trying to fight a war of attrition. And that fight always favoured Bakole, as we said in the prediction video. Bakole was standing his ground, firing off combinations, pouring the jab, trying to push Anderson back. Anderson would hold his feet and try to fire off rapid fire combinations. And there were times where he really lit up Bakole. But the shots never really had that much of an effect. I never got the impression that Bakole was hurt in this fight. The only danger that I felt Bakole was in this fight was gassing himself out, fighting a fight that was too high octane. Against a younger, faster man. But aside from that, that was the only danger I felt Bakole was in watching it live. Because in the exchanges, yeah, there were times when Anderson may outland Bakole in an individual exchange, but Bakole was landing the real thudding punches. Like the shots that really counted. The shots that you felt that maybe that was landed a little more precisely. Maybe if the shot was slightly more on the chin, it would have done a lot of damage. Whereas I never really felt that. I never got that impression from Anderson's punches. Round 3 was a barn burner though. Both guys landed some great punches, great exchanges. Anderson was trying to fight fire with fire, naively, in my opinion. Same thing for round 4. Bakole was the guy trying to come forward, push for pace. Anderson would set his feet, try and fire off a combination, then reset. But it was Bakole who was, in my opinion, forcing Anderson to fight his fight at the end of the day. Because there's no way going into this fight, anybody in the right mind, if you've seen both fighters fight, nobody would have said, well, yeah, Anderson's best chance is to sit there and brawl with and trade with Bakole. Nobody would have said that. And that's what Anderson was doing throughout this fight after round 1. After he got dropped, he was fighting Bakole's fight, trying to fight fire with fire, trying to get the respect. But, it was not to be. Round 5 was where this fight ended. Onslaught by Bakole. He's got this weird style, Bakole, where some of the punches, they don't look that heavy, but he kind of throws these punches very loosely and very fluidly. Sometimes not with the most speed, but he also can inject pace into his combinations. So he can throw a slow-looking combo and then interject some speed into it as well. But he landed like a very innocuous-looking shot in round 5 that kind of dropped Anderson. And I think it was an uppercut. I think it was a lead uppercut that caught Anderson. Very innocuous-looking shot. But it drops him. Anderson gets up. His mouth is bleeding. Anderson tries to fight on. He tries to fight fire with fire. Bakole pushes him back. Lands a series of straight rights, I think it was, and jabs. Down goes Anderson again. Anderson beats the count. Bakole then goes into finishing mode. Pushes Anderson against the ropes. Fires off a combination, a few punches. And yeah, the referee then jumps in and waves it off, and rightly so. Bakole, too big, too strong, too experienced, and too good, to be honest. Too good. And this is really Martin Bakole in a nutshell. I think the guy's got talent. How he throws combinations up close. How he generates power without really necessarily exerting himself too much. At times in this fight, he was swinging wildly, but when his best work came when he was relaxed, when he was going through the combinations smoothly, When he tried to force it a bit too much, I felt he got a bit ragged, which is why I thought maybe he was in danger of gassing himself out. But he was the far more offensively fluid fighter here, far more put together, better combinations, and he was the guy who did the job here. And his jab, as this fight played out, was very effective. The jab was rocking the head back of Anderson, and domination really by Anderson, and it was a ragdoll type of fight. Anderson got ragdolled by a bigger, stronger man who was better. But yeah, Bakole is a very entertaining fighter. I think defensively he needs to improve. He's never going to be a fleet-footed guy. He's never going to be a guy who's using a whole bunch of head movement. But even a better guard would suffice for Martin Bakole, like a better high guard. But listen, man, it was a really good fight. The result doesn't surprise me at all. I picked Bakole by stoppage, I believe. Pretty certain I did. But yeah, I mean, share your thoughts below. What did you make of this fight? It was entertaining. Can Anderson learn from this? We shall see. He showed some good toughness in there, I will say that. He showed some good toughness in there, but ultimately it wasn't enough. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy, peace.